until that pops up. So we're going to go here to day 108. We are in day 108. I'm going to put it so I'm in the bottom corner here. I think you guys like that better. Today's title, again, not every alarm is an emergency. Verse, for God has not given us a spirit of fear. And the full verse says, in 2 Timothy 1:7, for God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and love and of one sound mind. God help me to discern the difference between the real signal and the exaggerated alarm. True. The mind and body can sound alarms that feel urgent, even when the threat is not as great as it seems. Wisdom is learning not to obey every internal alarm without filtering it through truth. This verse so reminds me of the story of the girl who cried wolf, and every time that she it's coming, and then the wolf is going to eat me, and then there'd be no wolf, and everybody'd run out and try to protect her, and then finally she called wolf, and nobody showed up because they didn't think it was an alarm. What are some of the alarms that are in your life that seem like this has to happen right now? I think there's been, and I don't know how much it still is, but there has been this big push for parents to make sure that kids are so protected that they're in a bubble wrap almost. Like they can't do anything. They can't go outside. They can't play. They can't fall in the dirt. They can't get scraped up. Because I don't know what they think is going to happen if that happens. And so if we don't go through adversity, if we don't go through trials, if we don't go through the things that make us stronger, how do we get stronger? A person feels immediate panic after one difficult email and treats the whole day like a disaster, even through nothing irreversible has happened. And you can imagine, what some of the things that we do during our day that, an email comes in that says, I don't like you, or, something that we have, a challenge that we have to take care of, and we let it ruin our whole day. And most of the time, it's something we don't even have control of. We've been talking a lot about the future and what happens in our futures and what we do with that future that we make up. We ruminate on something that probably isn't going to happen. Yesterday we had, here in Denver, we had a snowstorm. It happened between like 10 and 2. And, it was amazing how many conversations were around this snow and how it was going to, we obviously need the water. We haven't had very much. And but like our lives change. Well, what am I going to do? Well, you're going to wear a coat. Well, what if I didn't know what was going to happen? Well, you keep a coat in your car. I mean, it isn't a 5-star alarm. What if I have to go to the hospital during a snowstorm? Well, for most folks, we get in our car and we drive to the hospital. It's not, what if we have to get in traffic? Okay, what if I'm going to be late? All these things that we do. It reminded me, times when unexpected moment could hijack my whole internal world. A message, a setback, a silence, a disappointment. And suddenly my mind was acting like everything was collapsing. My body felt it too. Tight chest, shortened breath, and a quick rush of urgency. What I learned over time was that every alarm my body sounded didn't automatically mean I was in danger. Sometimes I was triggered. Sometimes I was tired. Sometimes my mind was reacting fast without information. And that realization helped me slow down. I learned to ask, is this an emergency? One of the things that I do often when, especially when I was teaching, and I was teaching for when I first started my career, I was teaching physical education. And so when that happened, kids would get hurt, or there would be a fight that would ensue, or there, something that the kids would all run to, like this was this major 7 alarm thing that's going on. And I'm like, it's going to be all right. I walk over there calmly. I find out and I ascertain the situation. Do we need to call an ambulance? And sometimes we did. Do we need to just help the person up and set them to the side? Or do we need to say, get up, brush off, and go around? But if we treated everything as if it was 911, man, we'd never get anything done. And so many times in our life, we trigger the 911 in our own mind, and it's not that big. Take your time, take your breaths, your affirmations are in place, and we just move forward. When I said here, this alarm that needs to be examined, the question alone brought so much wisdom back to my life. Does this alarm need to be examined? It doesn't need to be taken care of right now. So here's what happens in our mind. Our brain and our body are designed to respond quickly to perceived stress. That's how we are built. We need to know if there is an emergency, we need to know how to take care of it. But that rapid response can be helpful in true danger. If a fox or a tiger or a deer or an elephant is getting ready to come and stomp on you or eat you, then you need to be able to react quickly. But it can also misfire in everyday stress when the nervous system becomes sensitized from overload, fatigue, or prolonged stress. So now our body starts to play tricks on us because we have put it in overload mode. It may react strongly to things that are not actually emergencies. Pausing, breathing, and labeling the moment can help reduce the intensity of the alarm and restore clearer thinking. So we talked about yesterday, the emotions high, intelligence low, and taking those breaths, bringing back down that emotion so that our intelligence can rise. Sometimes we have to stop. We had this thing when I was growing up, or when I started teaching, was called duck cover or something, that we get under the desk when an earthquake was coming, right? And so we had to practice this all the time. I don't know if they still do it because I live in Colorado now, not in California. But we would practice earthquake drill. We say, pretend it's a thing, and then we prepare to get under our desk, and so that if the ceiling fell down, then you would still be protected. You would be okay. And so one of the things that we need to do when we feel our chest tightening up, when we feel that stress, when we feel our body reacting because that's what it's used to doing, take the breaths. So everything works out for me because that's the person I am. Then now you've brought down the emotion. Now you can think more clearly. A loud inner alarm does not always mean a true emergency. So the invitation here is, what alarms have you been obeying without question? So to practice, next time you feel internal urgency, pause and ask, what is actually happening right now? What is actually happening right now? Lord, quiet false alarms and help me to respond with wisdom, not panic. Quiet false alarms and help me respond with wisdom, not panic. And so the blessing here is, may your mind grow steadier, your body grow calmer, and your responses grow wiser. Questions for today. Do you think people sometimes treat stress like danger? Do you feel we treat stress like danger? Do you feel lots of people do that? Do you know people who do that? What happens when you slow down? What helps you slow down when everything feels urgent? Is it going to grab a cup of tea if it's something where you got to make a decision? Is it that you do some breathing exercises? Is it you call somebody that you trust that isn't going to exacerbate the situation, but is going to calm down and help you look at it more wisely? Why is it important to question internal alarms? Because we live in a society that is full of stress, and sometimes we don't know how to react. All right, so I'm going to put these questions here for you to ponder later this day, and you will be able to also be in the chat for you to do. Let's move into let me remove me for a second, or remove the list there, and let's move